Welcome to Santa Barbara Now. We have a great show lined up for you today. One of my favorite subjects, which is engineering and technology. This is our second show in the new studio here, and we're happy to have with us Mr. George Relusco from Mohonasen High School, and he's the technology teacher. Welcome, George.
Well, thank you, Angel.
And
thank you for having us.
you have brought several students with you here, which we have one, but we'll be talking to some others as well that are involved in the technology program. Nando Wickham has joined us for this segment.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
George, so you've been teaching a very interesting class at Mohonasen High School, robotics, in relation to technology. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what the class is about.
Okay, so I'm a technology teacher at the high school. I've been teaching at Mohonasen School District for 13 years. And so one of the classes that we teach is a capstone course for students that are taking classes in our engineering program. And what we do in this course is we participate, the students participate in a robotics competition.
And I came to the demonstration at the school, and as always, I'm amazed by the product, the actual robot, I guess is what it is, that's produced from essentially from scratch. Is that correct?
Right, right. They have, the students have one project that they work on for the entire year, and it's basically to design, build, and test a robot that will be able to compete in what's called the First Tech Challenge.
And the First Tech Challenge is a robotics competition, and tell us a little bit about that and how the students kind of prepare for that.
Okay, so it is a robotics competition. It's a national robotics competition, and we compete in a regional tournament. And the class is structured so that the group is set up a lot like a sports team is set up. So that each individual has a role that they play, and we meet after school. So we have practices after school. We attend scrimmages, and we participate in tournaments.
And you're competing against other high schools. These are all high school students?
So these are all high school aged students, but some teams are from high schools, but not all. There are quite a few teams that are independent clubs or organizations.
And and what I like about this program, I've seen the demonstration, is that I think the kids that I've talked to, the students that I've talked to, they really enjoy learning because they get involved in the project. Everybody has their piece, and we could talk a little more about that later. But they take ownership of the project. How does that process go from when classes first start on through to when they compete in the competition?
So what makes I think part of what makes it exciting is that there are set dates for competitions and scrimmages where that forces the team to kind of rally together, make decisions, and get a robot designed and built, get something that works. So there's nothing like there's nothing like a deadline to motivate people. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I do like about the competition.
And am I correct in saying the kids are actually sort of, I don't want to say having fun, but enjoying the learning process?
Yeah, they are because it's a competition, so they're getting a chance to apply the skills that they develop in their math, their science, and their technology classes. They get to apply them to solve a real problem, but to do it in a fun way.
Yeah. So Nando, tell us about your experience. You were part of this year's class.
I headed the electronics part of the robot.
Okay.
I like the class mainly because it's more of a hands-on type of deal. A lot of other classes, you have to, it's all calculations, or in theory this is what you would have to do. This class was different and better. I did enjoy the class because it was more hands-on.
And is that, I mean, everybody takes away different things. What would you say you're going to take with you because you participated in this class?
Well, even though there were 6 of us on the team, We did have a lot of disputes, I guess would be the word.
Sure.
But teamwork, just knowing how to work as a team, like quickly and efficiently, would be probably the most.
And George, that's kind of what we said earlier. It's not just engineering that you're learning. Along the way, you're learning other things
Right.
besides the science and technology, and one of them is teamwork. What are some of the other things you think helped you along the way?
Just an overall, like idea of what robotics is, what engineering is. It's problem solving at its core. There's just a
I like
lot
that
of
word.
decisions.
Problem solving is, I think, is a good word to describe the engineering process. Well, I guess the more important question is, are you interested in engineering now?
Absolutely.
And that's really the goal of this program, I believe, George.
Right. That is the goal, is to get kids excited about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and hopefully get them excited enough so that they go pro. I like to use that term, right? Because in sports teams, students, high school students, many of them are involved in sports teams, and it's a great thing to be involved in sports. But when you look at what are the odds of a high school student actually be able to go professional in that sport,
Right.
very, very low odds. Whereas this sport, the robotics and engineering and technology, the odds of these students being able to go pro if they're interested in doing this is actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's one of the fields where people are always looking for more engineers, and everything you see around you had some sort of engineering involved with it. And I think I'm a civil engineer, but there's mechanical, which is related to this, but there's a lot. It's a big field. There's a lot of different things you can go into. One of the things we talked about is how this program actually follows the real engineering process. Why don't you take us through that, how the kids start out, and how it simulates really what people are doing out in the field professionally.
Right. That's another one of our goals, is to try to make this as realistic as possible, where the students have to manage their schedule. And I really try to have them do everything. I'm more of a facilitator and a coach in terms of actually building, designing, testing. It's all done by the students. And the other part of this is they have to consult with mentors, engineers that come into the classroom and are available to help them when they run into obstacles that they can't solve themselves.
Yeah.
And they also have to communicate. So a big part of engineering is not just solving the problem and coming up with technical solutions, but being able to communicate your results to others.
Well, and that is actually an important part of the learning process, because you're right. You can have great ideas, and if you can't communicate them, it really puts you at a disadvantage.
Right.
So that's great that that's part of it. I'm really impressed with the class. I'm impressed with the course. I'm impressed with the students. And I know that as part of this, we talked about this a logbook.
Yes.
And keeping. What was Nando, tell us your experience. What was the purpose of the logbook, and how did you participate in it?
We had a book where anything we've done that day, we would record what we did, what we changed on the robot, pictures even, and each week one of the students would document it all and then sign it at the end of the page, the bottom of the page.
Okay, and that's sort of I guess tells you what happened through the entire process if you want to go back. And George, what happens to those books? How many years has this been running?
So this is the third year
Okay.
that we've been involved in this competition, and
Okay.
and the notebooks are actually a requirement. That's another aspect that I like about the first competition, is that the engineering notebooks are a requirement, and the students bring them to the tournament, and that's one of the areas that the team gets evaluated on.
Okay.
They'll stand in front of a panel of engineers at the tournament. They'll present their engineering notebook, and they'll answer a series of questions about how they work together as a team, how did they come up with the solution.
And you mentioned being evaluated, and part of the process is getting people from the community involved, and I was there to kind of kind of evaluate the presentation. It's you get people involved from all different areas and different engineering fields to come and participate in the program at the end and kind of see what the kids have done.
Yes, that's my goal every year. I'm always looking, as I come into contact with people, I'm always looking for different areas of engineering to be represented. We try to get college professors, people from universities.
Yeah.
We invite former students who are currently in engineering school
Right.
to come and be evaluators, and that's a valuable part of this process, is for the students to get feedback,
Yeah.
and also to present to an audience other than just me.
Right.
It makes it, I think it makes it more significant for the students.
And over the 3 years, has the course evolved, gotten better? Have you taken suggestions and incorporated them into the program?
Absolutely. We always have conversations about how we can do things better, and I'm always open to suggestions. I get suggestions from the engineers about, maybe we could do make a little improvement in this area or that area, and so every year actually is a little different, and I think every year we're getting better.
So Nando, going through the course, what's a suggestion? What would you do differently if you had to do it again?
Probably half the time spent on developing the robot went into planning and researching, and that's good. We needed research, we needed a lot of planning, but then when it came to the first scrimmage, we actually cut it a little close to actually having a robot available. Mm-hmm. It was only able to drive around instead of actually doing other additional features it was supposed to do. But I don't know, just probably more hands-on, less planning. Still a fair amount of planning and researching.
George, do the students get to kind of say, hey, you know what, next year maybe we should do that? Do they get to kind of give some suggestions as well?
Yes, we do. We always have those discussions. Matter of fact, after every scrimmage and every tournament, the very first thing that we do is we have we call it a lessons learned session.
Right.
And everybody puts their ideas out, and we document it. We capture those thoughts.
That kind of happens in the in the real world. As an engineer, we do that as well. After projects are done, there's always something that could be done a little better. There's always some changes you can make to be a little more efficient. If you are interested in being a guest on Santa Barbara Now to talk about things going on in your community, please contact me at 518-355-1022 or by email at asantabarbara001@nycap.rr.com. Welcome back to the show. We've been talking about the Mohonasen Engineering Design and Development class, and we've been talking with instructor George Relusco, and we have joining us now two of the students that participated on the robotics team at Mohonasen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Christian Keegan and Laura Triers. Laura, you are a junior, and Christian, you are a senior. So we'd like to hear about your experience as being part of this team. What was your role on the team, Laura?
So this year I was like sort of our team intern. So because I'm a junior, I'm not technically permitted to participate in the class itself, but I went to all the after school meetings and I was able to go to our tournaments. And so this year I was able to learn like what the class is like, and I was able to get some experience so that next year I'll have a better idea of what it's like, and we can plan better to do even better next year, hopefully.
And what did you think about what was your opinion about the program?
I really liked it the first year, and it makes me want to do it even more next year.
So you aren't interested in engineering then?
Yeah.
Is it were you interested before, or did this help you kind of come to that conclusion?
I mean, I knew before this year that I really liked science and engineering, but I wasn't really sure like which fields I was like particularly interested in. So this really helped me narrow it down to particular fields of engineering that I want to major in college.
Great. And Christian, what was your role on the team?
I was in charge of. I helped work on the subsystems, which in this case were a ramp system and the arm system inside it, as well as I also did media, and I took video recordings and stuff like that.
And I got to see some of those video recordings. What was your favorite part of the course? What interested you the most?
Just getting to work hands-on with the robot and getting to have a good time building stuff and just working towards a common goal with everyone.
And did you find it kind of easy to work with others as far as making decisions, or was it kind of a process where?
At first, we did bump heads a little bit and stuff like that, but as it went on, we started to build relationships, and we got down to getting things done in a coherent fashion.
And I know George said that students come back to kind of evaluate. Is this something you're interested in doing?
Oh yeah, I definitely wish to go back. And
We're going to see you there next year doing the evaluation part.
Yeah.
And Laura, you have an opportunity to come back next year.
Yep.
Is that something you're going to do?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what if they're having seen the program as a junior, is there anything you'd like to see different next year?
I think for next year, what we've learned is to start as early as we can, start building as early as we can, and definitely just take what we've learned this year and improve, like in terms of the design process and things like that.
It seems like time seemed to be a big factor,
Yeah.
getting things done on time. And did you find that there was just never enough time to get done what you wanted to get done?
Well, compared to past years, we did have a lot better time management, and we did get things quite done. As it did get closer to the actual competition, we did end up having to do things rather quickly, but we put in enough time, and we did get things done on time.
And obviously you are interested in engineering at this point. Are you going on to an engineering school, or?
I'm going to Hudson Valley for 2 years
Okay.
In their engineering science program, and I wish to transfer out to a bigger school.
Excellent, excellent. And hopefully these experiences will help you along the way. Is there anything different you'd like to see in the course for next year?
Just, I guess, building and stuff like that would certainly need to be earlier. You can only start so soon because they only give you the rules in about mid-September.
I guess a question that I have from personal experience. I know we talked about the logbook. Did you find that? Did you see the value in the logbook, or is it something? It seems like when you're in the middle of designing things, it's like to document them. It takes with time management and everything. It seems like something that gets left out. Were you guys pretty consistent as far as keeping? Was it something that you were diligent about?
Yeah, we were. We always managed to fit in time to get the logbook done because it's really quite important. It lets you have an idea of what you've done, what needs to be done.
And here's a question, I guess, that I had when I came to the evaluation. Everybody had a specific role. Laura, you had your role. Christian, you had yours. How did you decide what was going to be your role?
So we sort of based it off what classes we'd taken in 9th through 11th or 9th through 10th grades. And depending on the classes we'd taken and the specialties we'd had, we'd assign that. And we also made a matrix of what we were most interested in, and we ranked it 1 through 10, and then we were able to be assigned different roles. And whenever we came in, if there was something that needed to get done, we'd look at that chart, and then it'd help us decide what we were going to do that day.
Did you find that having the time management stuff we talked about, did you find that you wanted to put in the extra time? You stayed after school?
Oh yeah, it was, quite frankly, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was work, but it was fun, and we got to work really hard and get the stuff done because we didn't mind putting the time in for it.
Laura, you found it was fun? More
Yeah,
fun?
definitely.
And fun while learning, of course. I mean,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
so you would definitely recommend it to your students coming up behind you?
Mm, definitely.
Great, excellent. I want to thank you both for being on the show. We are going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to talk with 2 other members of the robotics team at Mohonasen. Welcome back to the show. We have been talking about engineering at Mohonasen High School in Rotterdam. We have with us 2 new members of the robotics team. There was quite a few of you, and we have a few more segments to go on the show. But welcome Corey Keegan and Josh Perry, both seniors. Can you tell us, Corey, about the role that you played on the robotics team?
I was the lead programmer for the team, so that I gave the robot movement and everything. I would code, and usually I spent a lot of my time on the computer
And
fixing problems.
so you were kind of building the computer language to kind of direct.
Yep.
And how challenging did you find it? Is it something that you wanted to do, or was it something that was assigned that you learned, or was it something that you really have an interest in doing that you think might be an engineering field you might want to get involved with?
Well, when I first started, it was a little difficult, but the way they have Robot C set up is they kind of ease you into it, so it's you can figure it out pretty quickly after the initial steps. I liked programming. I'm not going to school for programming, but it was I wanted to experience more and get as much out of the experience as possible. So I tried it.
And Josh, what was your role in the?
My role, I was the lead chassis. I was the one to actually build what we have.
Put the pieces together.
Yeah.
And is that's something that you wanted to do, or something that you have an interest in? Or
It was more of my skill.
Your skill,
because
okay.
I've taken every single tech courses that Mohonasen has,
okay.
and that seemed most fit for me.
Yeah. And did you? You each had critical roles. I think all the roles are critical. Who actually controlled during the competition? Who was in charge of maneuvering? Was it a team thing, or was it a single person? Or
It was two people controlling the robot's movement. You had one on the arm and one actually driving it, which
Okay.
was Pat and Nando.
Okay. And was there during the competition? Was there any problems where you needed a repair?
Yes.
There was.
Yeah, there was a couple times actually. Once at the tournament, one of our servo motors got bent in, and we had to fix that on the fly. And then another time, it was what was it?
It was the axle.
Yeah,
It was-
the axle.
One of the things wasn't tight enough, and it just kind of slipped off, and it bent where the axle was.
So there's some banging going on the course on the field.
Yes.
So, Josh, having put the pieces together, you kind of were the person to get out there and fix these mechanical problems when they happened.
Yeah, we had to kind of take it out and put it on a table, and then we brought everybody over, and we were all working on it together. So
It's sort of what I'm envisioning in my head is like the race cars when they pull over and they get the
Correct.
tires off and put them back on as fast as possible. How much time do you have to fix it?
they give us actually a lot of time because it was just what was it, a scrimmage
Yeah, it was.
at the time when the wheel was happening, that problem. So
Okay.
they gave us actually a lot of time to fix that because it was a scrimmage.
Yeah.
So I
At
would say
the-
about like 15 minutes, 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the meet, we only had like 5 minutes, but we all got in there and we fixed it up quickly.
And did you find that you were competing against other robots? Did you find that, hey, you know what, maybe we should have thought of that, or hey, I think we're doing better in this category? Did you kind of compare to the other products, other robots that the other teams were able to produce?
I mean, I think everyone kind of had like those moments at the scrimmages, but I mean, once you dedicate yourself to a design, you're kind of stuck in that. But it was interesting seeing all the different designs that other people had come up with.
And so I guess the other question I should ask is how did you guys do in the competition? Were you able to compete with the other robots, or pretty much on the same level, or did you find that maybe there was some things that you could improve on?
There was a lot of things that we could have improved on there, but we were happy with what we had set up.
Yeah.
Because that was our goal, to make that.
Okay.
But I liked all the different ideas that I got to learn from the other teams. And it's not like a competition where you're trying to win for yourself.
Right.
Everybody there was friendly, helping you, giving you advice.
Yeah. Well, that is actually very nice, and you learn from each other. So I want to thank you both for being on the show. We're going to talk to a few more of your teammates. Come join us in a few minutes. We're going to take another break and come back with more on Mohonasen Technology and the robotics team. Thank you for joining us on today's show. If you are interested in learning more about today's topic, visit www.usfirst.org. To learn more about Mohonasen High School, visit www.mohonasen.org. Welcome back to the show for our final segment. We've been talking with the Mohonasen robotics team through the technology program. George Velusco has joined us again here on the show, and Zach Coons, who is the team captain for the robotics team. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What was it like being the captain of the team?
It was enjoyable but difficult at some points. It was enjoyable because I got to lead the team through moments of crisis and moments of triumph when we did what we did at the competition, where we did well, or when we had problems at the scrimmages. I wanted to be the one that was in charge to guide everyone to do what they were doing.
Yep. And at the competition, did you find yourself directing, or did you find yourself trying to solve problems while you were there being the team captain, or was it pretty much you had a specific role while you were there?
While we were at the competition, actually, when we had problems, I would look at the problem, I would have everyone look at the problem, then figure out who was in charge of that system when we were building the robot and design it, and have them look at and have them be first priority, because we don't want a mechanical problem and having the programmer work on it, because they wouldn't know what they're doing.
Right, right. And having watched your robot perform, were you happy with the success that you had at the competition?
I was very happy with what we did. We finished 17th out of 37 teams, so I was pretty happy with that.
It makes you want to do it again, right?
I'd love to do it again if I had the chance.
And any advice for the juniors that are going to be in this program next year?
I would suggest definitely planning, but there's a thing as too much planning. You don't want to spend the entire school year, the entire time planning. You want to divvy up your time between planning and actually building, because you don't want to be building on the way to the competition,
Right.
trying to figure out problems.
And you are going on to Clarkson,
Yes.
and you are going into an engineering program. And did this course how did this course help you?
It taught me about what it's actually going to be like, where there's going to be problems that are going to come out of nowhere, and you're going to have to try to figure out these problems. It taught me about teamwork and try to understand people I've never talked to before, like try to basically understand people I've never met and try to work things out as a team.
And do you feel that are you going to come back? Well, you're going to be at Clarkson, but are you going to come back and be an evaluator next year?
I'm hoping if I'm back in time.
George, you've got a lot of evaluators that are
yeah.
coming back. I think almost every team member.
Yes, I like that. That definitely helps.
So you won't be short as far as evaluators go. George, having run this program now for 3+ years,
Yeah, 3 years.
where do you see it going in the future?
So I plan to continue it, running it in a similar way that I have been doing. Every year the competition changes, so the challenge differs from year to year. And the other thing that we're going to start next year is actually, which will fit in nicely with this course, is we're starting 2 brand new courses. Robotics 1 and Robotics 2, which will be taught actually as separate courses,
Okay.
separate from the engineering design and development class. But what I'm hoping to do in those classes is have students develop their programming skills earlier, before they come in to their senior year course.
It seems that, and I'm talking to all the team members, that one of the biggest issues, problems that they faced was the time management. Is there any going forward? Is there anything that you're going to change about the course to kind of help that along?
Yeah, I think what I need to do is just to have set up the plan so that they start building sooner. Even if it means building without really having a plan yet. Just building for the sake of getting familiar with the hardware and just experimenting.
Getting some basic components together.
Getting some basic ideas together, right. And I think for next year we're going to make that a goal to do that in September, so that we actually have some build sessions in September rather than waiting. In the past we're pretty well into October,
Yeah.
Before we actually start to do the hands-on. Because planning does take a long time.
Yeah.
But we need to strike maybe a better balance,
Yeah.
so that we do some building at the same time that we're planning.
Great. Well, Zach, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank you, George, for promoting the field of engineering and technology in Mohonasen High School. I think it's very important that we continue to push the engineering profession, the engineering field. These are the future engineers of our area, and I'm happy that they were all able to join me on the show. Thank you for being on the show. And hopefully we'll have you back next year with some brand new teams and maybe some of the teammates that have moved on to engineering professions. I want to thank you for joining us on the show. Join us again here where we'll talk more about things happening in your community. Thank you.